Have you ever felt that something just didn't add up, that lawmakers were trying to slip something through before anyone could see the warning signs? I'm talking about Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. You may have heard of her. And I'm also talking about an earmark that's worth $1 million that was quietly written into this massive federal spending bill. This is money that was supposed to go to a substance abuse clinic, but instead it raised alarm after alarm from investigators on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. Well, folks, today we're digging into the trail of red flags that refuses to go away, from shared residential addresses on IRS filings to a clinic that may not even exist the way it was described, and how Congress, including the House of Representatives and Senator John Ernst Doge Committee, ultimately pulled that earmark out because the questions just wouldn't stop coming. But folks, unfortunately, that's just the beginning of what Minnesota is revealing, because this is a state that has already made national headlines recently, not just for spending controversies, but for a completely separate incident that shook the entire country: the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good during a federal ICE operation in Minneapolis. Now, that event right there, it ignited protests, intense political dispute, and calls for accountability from governors, mayors, and citizens alike. So let me ask you this: when the money doesn't add up and the public demands answers, what does that say about our institutions? Stick with me, folks, because the deeper we go into this, the worse the pattern becomes. Be sure to drop a like button and subscribe to the channel to show your support. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the names, because names matter. Now, this story centers on Ilhan Omar, the state of Minnesota, and of course the U.S. Congress itself. Now, we're not talking about rumors here. We're not talking about some internet speculation, actual congressional activity. Here's the part most people missed. Buried inside of a massive federal spending bill was a $1 million earmark requested by Ilhan Omar. Now, on paper, the money was designated for a substance abuse clinic in Minnesota. Now, that description alone wouldn't raise any eyebrows until lawmakers started looking closer. Now, this wasn't uncovered by activists or some leaked emails. It was actually surfaced during routine legislative review, the kind that was meant to catch waste before money goes out the door. And when Joni Ernst, chair of the Senate Doge Committee, saw it, she flagged it immediately. Why? Because Minnesota already had a documented history of fraud cases tied to public funds. Now, that context matters. When money, location, and prior scandals intersect, oversight doesn't get optional. It gets urgent. That's when the questions began. Now, I want to talk about paperwork, because fraud doesn't usually announce itself. It hides in forms. Now, according to Internal Revenue Service filings tied to the earmark, the so-called substance abuse clinic raised immediate flags. The individuals running it, 3 separate names, were all listed at the same residential address. Not a commercial facility, not a medical complex, a residence. Then came the second problem. The clinic itself appeared to be operating inside or above a restaurant. Now, again, that doesn't automatically prove wrongdoing, but it definitely directly conflicts with how federally funded treatment centers are normally structured, licensed, and inspected. So this right here, this is where U.S. Senate Doge Committee scrutiny kicked in. Earmarks are supposed to fund established, verifiable services with clear accountability. What lawmakers saw instead was thin documentation, overlapping identities, and a setup that didn't align with federal standards. This wasn't about politics or ideology. It was about records, addresses, IRS filings, and $1 million of taxpayer money that suddenly didn't have a clean paper trail. And once that trail started to unravel, Congress couldn't ignore it. So I want to go ahead and pause on what this actually looks like, because context really does matter. If this was a private citizen submitting paperwork with 3 operators, 1 residential address, and a clinic functioning out of a restaurant, regulators would not hesitate. Banks would freeze accounts, auditors would circle, questions would come fast. That's not opinion. That's just how compliance works. And Congress, they noticed the same thing. This wasn't a partisan shouting match. It was a quiet procedural reaction inside the U.S. Congress as lawmakers reviewed the documentation, and they revealed something just didn't line up. No dramatic floor speeches, no press conference first, just a growing consensus that this earmark did not meet the basic expectations attached to federal funds. That was the tell. When lawmakers stop defending and start distancing, this means that the risk calculation has changed. Not guilt, risk, exposure, accountability. And that's why what happens next matters, because instead of arguing it out publicly, Congress chose a different path. Because what you're watching right now happening in Congress is the exact same way regular people lose money every single day. Every dollar you overpay goes somewhere, and it's not back to you. Now, in Washington, money moves until someone finally asks, wait a second, does this actually make sense? Now, with Medicare, most people never ask that question. They assume that their plan is fine. They assume someone already checked, and that's how the insurance company wins. quietly. A bad Medicare plan doesn't announce itself. It just drains you dry over time through copays, deductibles, and coverage gaps that you never knew were there. And this is why I partner with Chapter. Chapter doesn't sell you hype. They review what you already have and optimize your Medicare coverage so that you're not overpaying for things that you don't need or missing coverage that you thought you had. Now, most people are already calling the phone number right there on the bottom of your screen, 909-563-8279, or they're going to askchapter.org/Ron. Just click the link down below just to see where their money's actually going. Because whether it's Congress or your own finances, the most expensive mistakes are the ones that nobody stopped to question. So this is where the story widens, and more importantly, why it doesn't feel random. Minnesota has already been rocked by large-scale daycare fraud scandals, cases involving shell entities, weak oversight, and millions in public funds moving faster than anyone checked where they were going. Different programs, different years, same structural vulnerabilities. And that's the pattern lawmakers couldn't ignore. Now, in those earlier cases, the warning signs were familiar. Loosely formed nonprofits, overlapping management, minimal verification, and money approved based on intent rather than proof of capacity. When lawmakers saw a new earmark tied to a clinic with thin documentation, it didn't land in a vacuum. It landed on top of history. This doesn't require motive or accusation to be concerning. It requires memory. So when a state shows repeated exposure to the exact same fraud mechanisms, every new funding request gets a harder look. And in this case, that harder look changed the trajectory of the entire bill. So this is where oversight actually does its job. Senator Joni Ernst wasn't chasing headlines when this surfaced. As chair of the Senate DOJ committee, her role is to examine spending bills line by line, looking for waste, abuse, and structural risk before money ever leaves Washington. And this earmark, it didn't come from a whistleblower or a media expose. It actually was discovered inside a routine spending review. Now that detail matters. The $1 million earmark tied to Ilhan Omar's request wasn't highlighted in a press release. It was embedded in a much larger package, moving very quickly through Congress with hundreds of other provisions. Now, this is exactly how earmarks are designed to pass, quietly, efficiently, and usually without controversy. But once Joni Ernst's committee examined the underlying documentation, the inconsistencies were just too obvious for DOJ to dismiss. Shared addresses, thin operational proof, a setup that just didn't match federal expectations. Now, that wasn't politics. It was a process. And once the process flagged risk, the issue moved from obscurity to urgency. Now, here is the uncomfortable truth. Federal money moves fast. Bills are massive. Deadlines are tight. And when the system is built on speed, verification often becomes the weakest link. That's not a conspiracy. It's a design flaw. Now, most earmarks pass because no one stops to ask hard questions. They rely on trust, precedent, and the assumption that someone else already checked. That's how bad actors, intentional or not, slip through the cracks. Now, this case, it shows exactly what happens when someone finally slows the machine. Once the scrutiny replaced assumption, momentum stalled. The earmark stopped being just another line item and it became a liability. And that shift away from defense and toward caution, this is what set the real explosion. Because when Congress hesitates, it's not about ideology anymore. It's about risk. And that's what happens when the House stepped in. 10 years, billions of dollars, and nearly 90% failure. That's the reality of modern drug discovery. And it's one of the most broken systems in science today. So while Washington wastes time and bureaucrats argue, the real fight is happening somewhere else entirely. In who controls the future of medicine, innovation, and American leadership. And under Donald J. Trump, that fight has always been about rebuilding what actually works, not pretending that the system isn't broken. Because here's the truth, folks. Most so-called AI biotech companies aren't fixing anything. They're guessing. Black box models, surface level pattern matching, crossing fingers, and hoping that biology cooperates. And biology never cooperates. This is why today's sponsor caught my attention. Today's video is sponsored by Outside the Box Capital Incorporated on behalf of MindWalk Holdings Corporation, currently listed on the NASDAQ under ticker symbol HYFT. Now, MindWalk is not a single drug biotech praying for one miracle molecule. They're building something far more ambitious, an AI native platform designed to understand how biology actually works. And their goal is to move drug discovery away from trial and error and toward reasoning-driven medicine. This is the kind of system thinking that President Trump has always pushed for when it comes to rebuilding American industry. Now, what really makes MindWalk different is their proprietary HYFT deep data technology. Instead of just analyzing raw genetic sequences, HYFT captures the relationship between sequence, structure, and function. In simple terms, it helps AI understand why biology behaves the way that it does. So that means insights scientists can explain, test, and use in real laboratories, not black box guesses that collapse once experiments begin. And the market is actually starting to notice. Now, the last time that I talked about MindWalk back in September, the stock was trading at around $1.90 per share. Well, today, folks, January 11th, 2026, it is trading at almost $2.80. But the real catalyst came recently when MindWalk announced that it may have uncovered the structural key to a universal influenza vaccine. Using HYFT, the company identified a conserved structural feature in influenza's main surface protein. Now, this is something that does not change even as the virus mutates year after year. That directly targets the reason that flu vaccines fail long term. Even more important than that, this discovery held up against newly emerging flu strains. Now, that's not theory, that is validation. And this is not just about flu. The same platform is being applied to vaccines, antibodies, and metabolic disease, including AI-designed GLP-1 therapies, one of the fastest growing markets in the healthcare today. This is how platform biotech creates outsized value, embedded across pipelines, across diseases, across years. Now, under President Trump, America didn't settle for broken systems. And in biotech, MindWalk is aiming to rebuild one from the ground up. Now, before we wrap up, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not an investment advisor and nothing in this video should be considered investment advice. Always conduct your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. If AI is going to reshape medicine in the next decade, this is exactly what that transformation is going to look like. Now, what happened next wasn't subtle and it wasn't routine. Inside the U.S. House of Representatives, conservative lawmakers drew a line. A nearly $180 billion spending package, urgent, time-sensitive, and expected to pass, it was suddenly frozen. Not over ideology, over risk. Specifically, Minnesota-linked earmarks that lawmakers no longer felt comfortable rushing through. Now, this is where people get it wrong. Freezing the bill wasn't an accusation of guilt to Ilhan Omar. It was an acknowledgement that the safeguards failed. Lawmakers weren't saying this is fraud. They were saying we don't know enough and that's a problem. Now that distinction matters. When a bill of that size stalls, it means leadership believes the downside of moving forward outweighs the political cost of delay. And in this case, the downside was clear. Approving money tied to unanswered questions, weak documentation, and a state that's already under scrutiny for past fraud, momentum stopped because trust cracked. So here's the moment that quietly confirmed everything. The House didn't debate the earmark. They didn't defend it. They removed it. And that almost never happens. Earmarks are usually protected because pulling one sets a precedent, and lawmakers hate precedents that invite future scrutiny. But this one crossed the threshold. The risk wasn't hypothetical anymore. Keeping it in the bill meant owning it. So it vanished. Now that act alone tells you exactly how serious the concerns became. This wasn't media pressure. There was no viral outrage yet. This was an internal decision driven by exposure, management, and institutional caution. Now, removing the earmark didn't resolve the questions. It acknowledged them. And once Congress backs away quietly, it signals something bigger than politics. It signals that oversight has shifted from optional to unavoidable. Now, I want you to notice what didn't happen. There was no floor speech defending the earmark. There was no media blitz explaining away. No last-minute rewrite to save face. Congress didn't argue. It backed away. That's the signal. In Washington, silence is often louder than debate. When lawmakers believe something can be defended, they defend it. When they believe something could become a problem later, they erase it and move on. And this is exactly what just happened here. They didn't say it was fraudulent. They didn't need to. The act of removal said enough, because once federal money is approved, clawing it back is nearly impossible. Prevention is really the only real safeguard. And in this case, prevention meant pulling the plug before the questions became subpoenas. That's why this moment matters. It tells you that the concern wasn't theoretical, it was practical, institutional, it was real. And it didn't end with one earmark, because once the spotlight turns on, it rarely stays narrow. So after the earmark disappeared, scrutiny didn't fade, it intensified. The House Oversight Committee shifted focus from a single funding line to a broader question. Why does Minnesota keep surfacing in federal fraud discussions? Lawmakers openly discussed risk exposure, verification failures, and even the repeated need for intervention. That was the pivot point. What began as an earmark issue became a systemic concern. concern. Oversight members weren't just reviewing paperwork anymore, they were connecting the dots across programs, timelines, and enforcement gaps. Conversation moved from what happened here to why this keeps happening. Now that shift brings national attention. Once a state enters the oversight cycle, future funding faces higher scrutiny, longer reviews, and fewer assumptions. Every request gets read twice, and that's the real fallout. Not headlines, but a permanent change in how Washington looks at Minnesota spending. Context matters, and timing matters even more. As of January 2026, Donald J. Trump, he is the sitting president of the United States. Now that fact alone changes how stories like this land in Washington, not because of personalities, but because of priorities. This administration has made fraud reduction, spending discipline, and aggressive oversight a central governing theme. Agencies know that, committees know it, and lawmakers, they understand that questionable spending decisions are far less likely to be waved through than they might have in previous years. Now, that doesn't mean that the White House is directing this case. There's no evidence of that, but it does mean that the environment has shifted. The tolerance for "we'll fix it later," that has dropped sharply. Under Trump's administration, in this climate, an earmark with weak documentation isn't just a risk, it's a liability. Committees are incentivized to slow down, verify, and, when necessary, pull back before mistakes turn into scandals. And this is why this story didn't just quietly disappear. It surfaced, stalled, and escalated because the system now rewards caution over speed. So let's be very clear what this really is and what this is not. No charges have been filed yet. No accusations have been proven yet, but patterns are undeniable. The same state, the same weaknesses, Minnesota, the same red flags appearing just early enough to stop the money, but late enough to raise serious questions. Now, this is not about one earmark. This is about what happens when oversight finally catches up to habit. Congress didn't shout. It didn't posture. It pulled back. And when institutions designed to protect taxpayer dollars choose caution over convenience, that tells you that the concern is real. Now, what happens next may be quiet or it may not be. Oversight rarely announces itself in advance, but once the questions are on record, they don't disappear. So the takeaway isn't outrage, it's vigilance. Because when the money doesn't add up and the names keep resurfacing, the story doesn't end, it evolves. Drop a like for the video, subscribe, share this video, and get the word out. We need to keep spreading the truth here. We'll see you next time.